Hey everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today we have special guests.
I'm Destiny. I'm on the podcast a lot, so if you guys watch that, you're hearing my voice all the time, and then here I am.
And I'm Amanda, and I'm also on the podcast pretty often, so yeah.
Okay, great. So we are also a part of PAC's new project leaders, so we're pretty much like the head ambassadors for like marketing, PR, and like all that kind of stuff. So for today's video, we're going to be focusing on types of relationships. So we will have more or less like a casual conversation on different types of relationships, whether it's a crush, lust, friends with benefits, long-term relationship, and so on. And we will be talking about how to navigate these relationships, about what kind of relationships we often find ourselves in. Is there a pattern, or have we grown from them? Sometimes these feelings can become too overwhelming and prevents us from thinking clearly and making the right choices. So first off, we will start off by introducing ourselves one by one and say if we are in a current relationship, how long it's been, how you met, what this relationship means to you. And if you aren't in a relationship, talk about the kind of relationship you expect to find and why. Feel free to talk about like previous breakups and relationships you've been in and why you won't go back. So whoever wants to go first can go.
I guess I can go first. So I'm currently in a relationship. It's been a little over 2 years. We met, like, we were best friends back in like middle school, and then we dated, and then we kind of fell off, and then somehow our paths just crossed again. So then ever since then, like, we've been dating, we moved in together, we're currently living with each other. And what's the last question?
Just like, I mean, you pretty much covered everything, your love story.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Amanda?
So I am currently single, and I actually have been single for quite some time, probably like a couple years since I've been in like a serious relationship. So, but like I'm kind of dating around now, just kind of seeing what's out there, and I'm not like opposed to a relationship or anything. And if I ever get into one, I want it to be where we're like, I don't know, just treat each other with like kindness and respect, and also we can respect each other's boundaries, and that's not an issue because that has been an issue in some of my previous relationships. So yeah.
So it seems like you took a lot away from PACT, from our like meetings and podcasts and everything.
Yes.
Thank Michelle for that.
Yes,
okay.
Thank you, Michelle.
Okay, so next up, we're going to really get into the components of a healthy relationship and what is a must by answering yes or no to a series of questions. And we will be giving some backstory to it. So the first question is, do you expect this person to meet all of your emotional or physical needs, and how? So whoever you're with or whoever you've been with.
I'd like to say yeah, at some point them meeting my needs, because that's a big component. Whereas physically, I mean, I would like to be like physically attracted to them, but like I don't have to date somebody that looks like some kind of Greek god looking kind of person, you know what I mean? Like, it's not 100% about looks, because of it. Like, if we vibe, like, and our personalities just kind of gel, then that's fine with me, at least. I don't know. What about you, Destiny?
Well, like, just kind of going back to like what we've talked about with Michelle, I feel like back then, like, I didn't really communicate my like emotional or physical needs to my partners, and I feel that because of that, I would kind of find myself like, not that I was not interested in them, but I kind of felt like something was missing in a way. And it was kind of because I was like, well, why aren't they giving me what I want or need? But that's because I wasn't telling them, so obviously they didn't know. So in my current relationship, we've been like pretty big on that, just like being very vocal about like things that we like would like to see from each other. So I would say yes.
Which is great because it's always important to communicate your wants and your needs, even if they're emotional or physical. And I feel like I've been in a similar situation in my past, with my past relationships and stuff. I wasn't really at the grown, developed stage where I was able to communicate what I wanted, because I guess I didn't know how to. So also, I didn't mention this, but I forgot to go. I'm in a relationship. It's been about a year. And me and my partner met in college, and we had like the same math class together. So it's a brief overview of that. Okay, so next question. Is your relationship often threatened by others? How and why? So, meaning like, is there anyone who gets in the way of your relationship or is jealous in any way and tries to like doubt you in any way, kind of thing?
So at least for me, I don't think I would, like, at the moment I would say no, because I think I've come to the point, like, I've realized that it, like, let's say there was somebody who like quote unquote threatened, I feel like I wouldn't say that. Like, I wouldn't think that they were threatening me, because I probably would just dismiss them. I know there have been times like recently where I think it's more of like a problem within myself, maybe like feeling insecure that I think others are threatening my relationship, but it's actually me. So like lacking confidence and things like that, where I'll blame other people, but then when I sit back and realize it's actually like something within me. And that's something I like have been trying to overcome within like the past couple of weeks. So I think that's kind of like relatable.
I think with some of my past relationships, there have been some threats. Like, it was either, most of the time it was just like these other girls that I didn't feel comfortable with them being around, and I tried to express that, and this is again where boundaries and communication come in. And they kind of dismissed me. They're like, oh, you're just being paranoid. And then come to find out, the girl I was worried about was like the other woman. And then I've also had relationships where it was like, because I didn't have a whole lot of like self-respect for myself, and I just kept going back to these guys that like would hurt me, my friends would be like, girl, he's bad news, and I'd be like, well, you're just jealous. And it was not good. So yeah.
So in a way, it kind of sounds like, from both of your experiences and probably experiences of my own, it's kind of like self-sabotage from ourselves and our own thoughts, and sabotage of other people, like intervening in our personal life and relationship life. And in reality, they don't really have they're not really entitled to do that, you know, to be disrespectful like that, because it was our relationship, our life, and we're in charge of that. So next question, can you be yourself in this relationship?
So speaking for my relationship, I think, well, the thing is, like, back then when we were best friends, like, we were kind of weird. So, like, I didn't really know them on a personal level. It was kind of just, like, platonic. But I think that did help us now that we, like I said, we, like, talked again, since we kind of were already, like, familiar with who we were, if that makes sense. And then we kind of just grew as a couple together, and, like, I see this person not only as, like, my partner but also my best friend, so I think that, like, really helped. And, like, I think also living with somebody, you just kind of get comfortable with them, you know. And since it's been like 2 years, I feel like I can never think like, oh, they're gonna judge me if I do this. So I think that just comes with, like, the level of comfort, and obviously the other person accepting who you are as well.
With me, like, in my past relationships, I feel like I truly, like, couldn't really be myself 100%, because I feel like it was mostly them just liking kind of like the idea of me, not who I really was, because we didn't take the time to, like, get to know each other on, like, a deeper personal level. But, like, my next relationship, I would really like that, and just to be, like, just be me and be comfortable around them, because I really do not, I'm not gonna change for anybody. Like, I'm me, you either accept me or you don't, like, that's it. I don't know.
Yeah, I can understand you in that kind of sense, and I feel like it kind of applies within friendships too, because we try to shift and adapt our personality depending on who we hang out with, and we don't really find ourselves being true to who we are. It's just kind of, like, silly. So yeah. Next question. Do you both work to improve the relationship, and how?
I would say right now, or at least I've been talking, like, mainly about, like, my current relationship, but I know, like, before I really wouldn't communicate effectively with my partner. So, like, let's say we were to have problems, and obviously, like, this was in high school, so there was, like, a lot of petty, like, stupid things that were, like, you could have just told them, you know. And I feel like that, like, back then I didn't realize it, because I'm like, no, like, just F them. Like, if they did, you know, I would just, like, my mind was just somewhere else. And then now that I look back, I'm just like, wow. But now I'm just, like, I'm very vocal. So, like, if I see something that's not working out, or if something makes me feel a certain way, because I am comfortable enough to say something, I do. And then we've kind of learned to communicate where it doesn't have to be, like, an argument. So, like, we kind of try, like, sometimes it will turn into it, because obviously we have different opinions and we see things different. But I've been, like, really trying to just, like, hear them out and be like, okay, I understand, and then what can we do from then, or, like, from now on. And it's not always like that, but that's, like, how I would want it to be. And, like, it's still a work in progress, obviously, but yeah.
Now, with me, like, pretty much, like, the same as Destiny. Like, when I was younger, and my past relationships, like high school and stuff, I just, again, like Destiny said, like, I didn't really know how to communicate effectively, and also at the time I didn't really, I'm not to say I didn't care, I guess I was just, like, a lot more nonchalant about relationships. Like, I didn't take them as seriously, like, oh, this is just somebody I'm dating, we break up, it's fine. But I think now it's just kind of like you have to sit down and evaluate where it's like, okay, we have differences. Are we going to work on this, or are we just going to end this? Because like, if I really care about you and you really care about me, we need to sit down and like figure this out somehow. And maybe that is the best way, is to just end it, but you still have to communicate to get there.
Yeah, I totally agree with both of you. Communication is such a strong factor to the way that the world revolves, you know, just communicating between your coworkers, your friends, your relationships, and all that kind of stuff. And I relate to what Destiny says when you address your problems pretty frequently, because I tend to do that with my partner. Probably like every week or every 2 weeks, I would ask him, do you feel like everything is going well within our relationship? Is there anything we need to address? Is there anything we need to work on? Because that way I'm getting input from both him and I'm giving him my input, you know? So I feel like that's really important to do. So next question, do you feel like your partner supports you in all times of stress?
When you say in times of stress, is that kind of just like in general, or like, what if the stress is coming from them?
That's a good question. You could answer however you want, maybe both.
Okay. I would say like if I'm personally feeling stressed out and it has nothing to do with them, they're pretty good at like being there for me and just like talking it out, because like if you know me, like I like to just bottle things up, and I like to think that like I'm strong enough to handle like my own things, so I don't really like to bring others like into whatever I'm going through. And like that's something that I've been struggling, I think, just because I've always just kind of been independent, so I don't like to rely on somebody to be like, I'm going through something. Like that's just like never been like my way of coping. It was always just like I got it mentality, and at times it can be really bad because, you know, eventually you get to a point where it's like you just can't anymore, and then I would kind of just like explode, and it'll be like it'll affect the people around me, obviously, and including my partner. So I've been trying to, you know, talk it out more, so they're very helpful with that, and just like, oh no, like you should talk about it, because most of the time I'll be like, no, I'm fine. But they know I'm not fine. And then the other thing, like if the stress is coming from them, the main thing is just like having time apart before somebody says something that they don't mean. Because back then, like in my previous relationships, I did a lot of like, I was really petty. Like if they did something to me, then I would try and like do something back, or like just unhealthy, like toxic traits. And now it's kind of like, let me just walk away before I hurt your feelings. And yeah.
No, with me, in my past relationships, I feel like either way, it just didn't go well. Like if it was like them, if it was me being stressed and turning to them, they just weren't there for me emotionally, and my emotional needs were not being met, because it was like they just didn't really put that much effort into it. And if it was stress being caused by them, then it was a real mess, because again, like I said back then, I didn't really know how to effectively communicate, and I have a bad temper, and I would kind of blow up at them, and we would fight and usually like break up, or it was just a mess. But like now, like ideally my next partner, I would like that if I'm stressed, I'm like, hey, I'm having a bad day, they'd be like, well, okay, do you want to talk about it? Do you need anything? What do we do? And just kind of like be there for me emotionally, you know? And if it's them causing stress, I agree with Destiny. Just kind of like be like, hey, I need to take a break for like 5 minutes because if you keep pushing me, I'm going to explode. So what I think would be effective is just kind of take a breather and then communicate again, because we're circling back to that, how important communication is, and tell them how you're feeling, tell them why they're making you feel stressed out, and just kind of like effectively communicate without biting their head off about it.
Right. I also agree with Destiny where she says she has the I got this kind of mentality, because like for me at least, I like to kind of just like sit with the feeling and just like try to understand my stress and kind of like self-regulate before I communicate or like I accidentally like lash out to my partner, because I don't want to cause any like accidental harm just because I'm focused in being mad at whatever I'm mad at, you know. But I know that my partner is there for me and supports me with like any situations that I'm going through. And so I tell him that, and I'm like, I really appreciate you trying to be there for me, but as of right now, I need my own space. So, which leads to the next question of or statement. I like my alone time and practicing boundaries, and why are boundaries important? So do you like getting your time away from your partner at times, and when do they cross that boundary?
Back then, like, well, okay, I don't know if you guys have ever lived with your partners, but if you do, and if you have, like, you'll know that like it's a whole game changer. So before, like, if you were in a relationship with someone at like school, you had your alone time, because at, like, once you leave school or whatever, like, you have your room or you have your house or you have your own space, and they have their own. So there was never like an interference with that. Maybe it's like more of like, in that sense, it was like, oh, they're blowing up my phone and like just leave me alone type thing, which that's happened before. And I'll kind of just like, back then, of course, since I didn't communicate, I would just like put my phone on airplane mode or just like ignore them or something and like whatever. But now that I live with somebody that I'm in a relationship with, it's like I see you like everywhere I go. Like, you're in my room, you're in my bathroom, like it's our thing like now. So it's a little hard, and I'm definitely very vocal, and I'll be like, look, like, I know I'm just on my phone and I'm just on TikTok, but like, this is my way of just having like me time, you know, like even if it's just for like 5 minutes, I just want to be alone right now. And it was hard for them to understand, because they're like, well, do you think I'm annoying? Like, am I bothering you? And it's like, no, like, it's literally not you. I just like need that time for me. And I think it's hard, like, if somebody else isn't used to that, because I know they like to be with me, and of course I like to be with them, but I like having more of my own time, and they kind of, I guess, don't care. It was kind of hard to like manage that, because that's something I wanted and something they couldn't understand. But I think we've gotten better, and like they've started to develop like hobbies, and I'm like, okay, like that's your time, like I'm gonna do me, and then we'll like come back to the room and be like, what, like then we can like hang out together. But I think having your own time is really important in a relationship.
Okay, it's interesting Destiny said that, because literally, I think it was like, I want to say it was the last game night we did or whatever. Shout out to game night if you're watching this. And we were talking about like when we're married or committed or living with our significant other, like, because I was talking to Destiny and I was like, man, that just sounds scary as hell to me, like the thought of like me having like a bad day and wanting to go to my room, but there's my partner laying in bed, and it's like, could you not? because I'm used to that, and that's what it's been like in my past relationships. In fact, I've never really lived with a partner, so I don't know. I've never really gotten to that point or gotten that serious with anybody. But it's just like I like me time, because sometimes like I've had a bad day and I just want to sit alone in my room and like listen to music for like 15 minutes, and then I'll be good. Like I'm fine, I can socialize again. And I feel like that's kind of hard when you're living with somebody. So then again, boundaries come into play, and you need to be like, okay, look, I just need like 5 minutes by myself. Let me just take a bath. Let me just listen to music, something. Like, because it's not that I don't love you, it's just I need me time. And I think some people, and I've ran across some people like that they don't know how to handle that. And it's like, they take it personally, but it's not a personal thing at all. And ideally, my next partner, I could just, if we make it to that point where we live with each other, I'll be like, hey, I need 5 minutes to myself, and I'll just be like, oh, okay, cool, I got you. And it won't turn into this big miscommunication thing like it has in the past. I don't know.
Yeah, I think boundaries are super important when it comes to talking about what's important to you, even if it's just like spending time alone, you know. And it's just like, it doesn't necessarily have to be negative, saying like, I want my time away from you, you know. Like, some people take it the wrong way, but you know, as long as you take the time to explain to them why it's important to you, how often you need that alone time, then I'm pretty sure they will like respect that. And that's something that I practice with my partner. And I know that it's like definitely hard to like spend some time alone with my partner. I know that's the case for me, because I want to like talk to him like 24/7, especially during the pandemic, and all we can do is like FaceTime. But I have to like self-regulate and like stop myself from getting to that place, because we actually had problems in the past where like we communicated like too much, like 24/7 over the phone, and we didn't really have much to talk about, and it kind of like created problems. But now we're at a good place in our relationship. So next question is, my partner is the decision maker and decides what to do and where to go.
Wait, can you just like elaborate on that, like just a little more? Like, what do you like mean by decision maker?
So like, do you think you're like the decision maker, or your partner like, oh, I want to grab, you know, like McDonald's, or I want to go to Olive Garden, or I want to go watch this movie, kind of thing? Just something simple.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna ask the same thing, just I was like, if it's like major life decisions and they're making them for you, that's not good. With me, in my past relationships, when it comes to like picking the movie or picking food or whatever, I'm just kind of like indecisive, like whatever, I don't care. But it's also kind of nice, and it's just kind of like a small gesture sometimes to just be like, okay, well, what do you want to see, or what do you want to eat, and vice versa, because it shows that you do care, you know. And I think that's nice, and I would like to have, and that's not really happened with my past relationships, but I would like it to happen in my next one. I don't know.
For me, it's funny that you brought this up, because I am the most indecisive person ever. And like the question, like, what do you want to eat? Like, if I hear that, I just like get upset, because I already know, like every single time I just say, I don't know. No, whatever you want, like, I don't know. And it's like, oh, well, what are you craving? I don't know. What movie do you want to watch? I don't know. Like, you can pick. And with my relationship now, at the beginning when I did that, it was kind of like, oh, like it's fine, like I'll choose, like, you know. But then because I did that every single time, like it was kind of like, okay, like what do you want, you know? And like I didn't see it, like I was just kind of like, well, I don't know, like just pick, like why is it that big of a deal? But then now that I realize it, and it's kind of like, if I'm saying I don't know every time, that's kind of like, I feel like how Amanda said, it might come off as like I don't care, or sorry, or like just annoying, you know? So I've been like really trying, and even though like I probably still don't know, I'll make myself make a decision even though it's really hard, just because I don't want my partner feeling that way. Because if the roles were reversed, I mean, it's kind of like, how would I feel? Like I'm choosing everything all the time. Like it kind of seems like one-sided in a way. But yeah, I've been struggling with that.
It's our greatest weakness as girls, being as what do you want to eat, because we never know how to answer. But yeah, we're not coming across as like rude by saying like kind of insulting that as like, oh, I don't care or anything. It's just sometimes we just don't know, and we're just like in the moment, and we're happy with like wherever we go. At least in my case, I'm just like, I don't know, you know, like whatever you feel like eating, I'll be happy, you know, with whatever it is, because I'm spending time with you. That's really cheesy, but I know it's true.
I feel that.
Okay, so the last question is, or statement, I feel closer and closer to the person as time goes on.
At the beginning, when things were like, I guess, picking up, like, you know, we moved in together. So at the beginning, like, I felt like that was such a big, like, moment where I did feel like a lot closer to this person. And then, like, we went through different milestones with each other, like getting a license, or getting a new car, or like just like work opportunities that I felt like being there with somebody like that, you know, makes you feel closer. And then meeting their family, then them accepting you, it's like even more. And recently I feel like we've done like everything, and so I was kind of like in a position where I felt that my relationship wasn't going anywhere, and I kind of felt like we're already really close, like how can we keep going? And so that's when I like communicated to my partner, and I'm like, hey, like this is how I feel, like do you feel the same way, or like is it just me, and then what can we do? So we kind of just like agreed to be more like, instead of being more casual, to kind of try and bring that first time spark again, just because like since you see each other every day, it kind of becomes in a way casual, versus like not seeing your partner and then you see them over the weekend and you're so excited and you have so much to talk about, you know, kind of like what Sam was saying, like we talk every single day, so what can I keep saying? So I feel like ever since we had that conversation, things just keep popping up, and then we've just been working on it. So I think it is possible to keep getting closer, like if you were to ever be in like my position as well.
With me, like in my past relationships, no, because I feel like they just kind of always, we just drifted apart at the end, and that's fine because that's life, I guess. But it would be kind of nice to experience that, I guess, like, because it'd just be kind of cool, because like what I would like at some point in my life, like my next serious relationship, whenever that happens, I don't know. It's just like that'd be kind of cool to be like closer to somebody each day. But like Destiny said, it'd kind of be kind of hard to like keep the spark alive, I guess, since you're like constantly around each other when you're like in a serious relationship, and you would kind of have to work on that. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes, like, Amanda kind of says things do fizzle out between each other. Sometimes you're not always going to get closer and closer. Maybe sometimes things are going to go differently and you guys decide to drift apart. But that's a part of the relationship, and like discovering yourselves and deciding, maybe, this isn't really working out for us. So it's totally okay and it's totally normal to feel that way. As for my own experience, I do feel closer with my partner like every day since like the first day that we met each other. I feel like we know fairly like a lot about each other, but I feel like there's more to experience. There's another chapter in our relationship life to experience with each other, and I definitely look forward to that. So that's the end of the questions. So I would like you guys to explain what you look forward to in the future of your relationship or future relationships.
I think like PACT has really helped me come a long way from like my previous like high school like whatever relationships. That's why I think now I'm kind of taking everything that I've been learning and like trying to make my relationship better, because I feel like it's sometimes like what the questions made me realize is like, let's say your partner's not doing that, right? But at times like it's probably not the person you're with's fault. So, like I feel like some people will be like, it's not working out, like we're just gonna break up, and they give up, and so at that point it's like, are you sure it's the person, or is it like you not communicating? You kind of have to like think about that. And that's something that I've learned to do, because back then I think that was my mentality, like whatever, they're just like goodbye and on to the next. And I feel like I was never fixing that until now. So like you said, Sam, like there's like a whole other chapter to my relationship that I still have to uncover and like keep turning the pages. So I just want to keep getting better. And like Michelle's always bringing things up that I'm like, dang, like I need to fix that. So I just like want to keep improving my relationship, and like how you brought up the closeness, get closer. Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm looking forward to in my future relationships, kind of like what Destiny said, a lot of the things that I've learned from PACT, I will utilize, like communication and boundaries and self-love and also self-awareness, because like Destiny said, again, sometimes it's not them, sometimes it's just you not doing the wrong things, but just like not being aware kind of almost of what you're doing. And sometimes taking some me time, taking a step back and being like, okay, this is what I need to do, and communicating and everything. And I don't know, I look forward to like not only experiences and making new memories, but also like learning more about not only this new person but myself too. And I don't know, yeah.
Which is very important. And I'm also very thankful for PACT for the many, many, many years I've been a part of it. Michelle has always been right there to ask you the right hard-hitting questions, and you don't realize like that question until she brings it up and you're like, I never like thought of that before. And I feel like being a part of PACT has definitely helped navigate my relationships, my personal life, and all of that. It's been super great and it's been super helpful. So we're coming to the end of the video. So to wrap up everything that we talked about, It is important to always remember that we always have a choice and a say in our relationships. It is important to communicate our wants and needs with each other. It is important most of all to have that mutual respect with each other. This is important because, as said by our mentor Michelle, many people tend to settle for our relationships that are often unhealthy and unhappy. Young and old alike select partners out of convenience, habits, and loneliness, rather than for the qualities that they value. So thank you everyone for coming today and joining my YouTube video. Remember to follow us on social media as we have a scholarship that is up and live. The due date is May 15th, so you can apply on Girls Pact's website. I'll also put a link in the description below. So don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.